Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, friends and family. Very honored and very privileged and very thankful to be here. As I've been reflecting on my time here and standing here right now, honestly, I'm just flooded with thankfulness. These last 4 years have been the most formative and the most impactful years of my entire life. So with the time that I have here, I want to put my reflections down into 2 points. Sorry, I couldn't find a third. If you count the intro, though, it's 3. It's 3 points. So the 2 points are going to be the first one, what I expected versus what I encountered. And the second point is the most important things that I learned here. So to begin my first point, when I first committed to coming to seminary, one of the things that I was told was, are you sure you want to go to like a reformed seminary? Like, Reformed people are kind of cold. They're not that kind. You know, in Reformed theology, Christianity is just kind of like an intellectual pursuit. Or, I got this one a good amount. Reformed people like to fight on Twitter, which, I mean, isn't that kind of like the point? Like, that's like, doesn't everybody do that? I mean, regardless, I was a little nervous coming to Westminster. I honestly didn't know if I was going to fit in. I didn't know if I was going to mesh with the community. But after my 4 years here, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that none of that has been true. I've cried every time I've practiced, so sorry. Whether it's been through long talks around the fire pit, learning how to be a first-time parent around a bunch of other first-time parents, 5 a.m. beach drives with the Westminster Surf Club, which has just been me and Brad all 4 years, so it's a really good time. Praying with students and professors in prayer groups, or coming to 8 a.m. classes only to find warm brownies, or receiving the kindness of professors, like Dr. Estelle motivating me to continue to learn Hebrew through a concussion, or Dr. Bittner, that was rough. Dr. Bittner in encouraging me to not drop out of summer Greek, or Dr. Van Drunen's patient and in-depth theological answers to my questions. I have seen the Apostle Paul's direction to welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you played out over and over again. And honestly, that has shown me the truth of the Reformed faith and Reformed piety just as much as the hours I've spent in a classroom or reading and preparing for finals. And I'm so thankful for that. My second point, I just wanted to highlight some of the most important things I learned throughout my 4 years here. The first one, which came as a surprise, I learned how to play soccer for some reason. Like, soccer became a really big part of my seminary experience. Every single Monday, soccer group. The second one is when I was a commuter, I learned when to not make breakfast because I knew Dr. Vanny was going to have brownies. Like, I was like, I'm good. I could sleep a little bit more. I'll be fine. There will be brownies. Third, I learned so much about church history. I learned so much about systematic theology. All my classes have been such a blessing. I'm very thankful for all my classes. I really feel like I actually learned how to read the Bible here. Like, comparing how I used to understand the Bible, like before I entered seminary versus now, it's a world of a difference. For one of my last things that I learned here, I learned how to read 3 languages here at Westminster. We learned Greek for New Testament, we learned Hebrew for the Old Testament, and we learned Kleinian as well. Some might say, I mean, if you've ever read Meredith Klein, or you know who Meredith Klein is, you might be thinking, Meredith Klein, he spoke English. But I know better. I know better. You cannot tell me that some of the things that he wrote were written in English, right? If you haven't read Meredith Klein before, I will read you a quote. And I quote, "The eschatological blessing sanction of the creational covenant, the omega hope of the covenant, was disclosed from the earliest beginning in the theophanic alpha original of the human temple image." I know English. That was something else. That was different. Most importantly, throughout everything, I learned just how far the height and the depth and the breadth of the gospel goes. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit have wrought my salvation, and because of that, Christ is mine. And I am fully his for forever. And that message of justification by faith alone is so encompassing, is so freely given, is so miraculous in the justification of sinners, that the giver of the message and the steward of those mysteries is not anything. He is just an errand boy. He's just a messenger. He's just a giver of Christ. And I don't know what I thought of what ministry was before I came here. I just knew I wanted to do ministry. But I will never forget the day that I learned this. It was an afternoon, first semester, first year. Dr. Troxel, and I'm not looking at you because I'll start crying. Dr. Troxel was speaking on this very thing. And I almost remember what he said word for word because I've replayed it in my head over and over again. It changed my life. He said this, and I'll leave you with this. These were basically his words. He said, "My prayer for you is not worldly success. My prayer for you is that one day, long after you're dead, there will be two older people sitting at a diner together, reflecting on their life, and you'll come up in the conversation because you were their pastor, and they won't remember your name, but they will fondly recall how you gave them the gospel week in and week out, that you encouraged them, and that you made Christ beautiful to them. That is the kind of legacy I want you to leave." I leave you, my fellow grads, and those that are still here, and the friends and family of the grads, with those words. Wherever the Lord leads us, whatever vocation we take on, may we do so with our eyes on Christ. And with confidence to preach the message of the gospel until we die and we're forgotten. Because that message, and not ourselves, not anything that we do, not anything that we can accomplish, is the hope and the life of the world. And I'm so thankful for my 4 years here because that's been instilled so deeply. Thank you so much.